Joining us now to discuss, Texas Congressman Michael Cloud. Congressman, thank you for joining us. Your thoughts on the Senate hearing yesterday?
Yeah, it's one in a long list of things that would be shocking, except that sadly we've come to expect this out of what was the Biden administration. We saw them come before Congress and say there's no way to secure the border without Congress doing some extraordinary legislative action. And as President Trump said, all we needed was a new president who would enforce the laws that were on the books. And sad to see, we know the hundreds of thousands of kids that were lost. And so typical of the Biden administration to do something that they could point to say that they were doing something without actually doing something, in the sense that they gave kids a phone number but didn't answer the call when it came to help the kids.
But the problem with stories like that one that Congressman Eli Crane revealed is 65,000 calls going to this hotline designed to help kids who feel they're in trouble. We know the number of kids that were handed off was far greater, something like 300,000, some estimate 500,000. And there have been efforts to try and rescue and rectify that situation, rescue those kids. But for the most part, our understanding is those kids are lost.
Exactly. The record keeping of the Biden administration, or the lack thereof, makes it very difficult to find them. The Trump administration had begun to implement DNA testing to make sure that when alleged families were coming across the border, they were actually families. And that's something the Biden administration stopped. All the safeguards and things that were in place to keep kids safe, you know, you'll hear them, and literally I was in a committee hearing just about 15 minutes ago, and you hear from the left all the talking points about what about the kids, what about the kids? But when you look at their actions, this is what you see. You see hundreds of thousands of kids lost. You see them not answering the call. When kids do call for help, they're not there to answer the call. And so this is sadly what was typical. Thankfully, it's changed under the Trump administration, and we have someone there who's enforcing the law, helping kids, and securing our neighborhoods and our communities as well.
Congressman, when you offered such facts, or when you see such facts offered to your Democratic colleagues, what is their response? Is it just kind of talking to a wall and they just ignore it and they go back to their DNC talking points? I mean, how do they respond to facts and statements and testimony like we just watched?
You know, it's sad to see, but we continue to see them kind of doubling down on the same messaging points of yesteryear that lost them the election. I had hoped that November would have been a turning point where they kind of got to see and feel the pulse of where the United States is and the people of this great country. And instead, they've doubled down on those issues that lost them the heart of the American people. And so the American people want safe communities. They want us to be responsive to this sort of thing. They do not want us to be funding through their taxpayer dollars. They go to work, they work hard, they pay their taxes. They do not want that going to fund the largest human trafficking organization in the world's history. And so they want righteous things done with those tax dollars. Thankfully, we are working on that in Congress. We have an administration who's working that to make sure we're returning a good return on investment to the taxpayer and getting rid of this nefarious, this evil things that sometimes are being funded through our tax dollars. So thankfully, we have a massive shift in priorities with this administration.
I understand that the House is getting ready to go on its summer break, and you guys will all come back in September or so. But on return, what are the priorities on the immigration front after you watch a whole summer of guys like Tom Homan out there, you have Kristi Noem out there, you have DHS really starting to implement these policies that were promised on the campaign trail? After another summer goes by, what is Congress's top priorities to try and be helpful in this situation?
Yeah, well, we have to, right now we're going through kind of the appropriation cycle, and so it's important for us to make sure we're funding the government, doing so, right-sizing the government as we do, and in funding these important security priorities. And we have to continue the work. Just because President Trump came in, was able to secure the border, it's important for us not to forget where we were, and that without continued proactive action, that and certainly a future administration could change priorities and reverse the success that has been made. So it's one of those things we have to stay continually ever vigilant on, and us continuing to address these priorities, continuing to make sure the cartels are always working, trying to get new technology. Right now, drones over the border and encroachment is an issue, so we've got to continue to advance and provide new technologies to the good men and women at the border doing the hard work of securing this nation. So it's one of those things we got to continue to be vigilant on, continue to make sure that we're listening to those doing the hard work down there and make sure that they're well equipped to do what needs to be done. And then to continue to fund the good work that Tom Homan's doing in cleaning up our neighborhoods, cleaning up our cities, cleaning up our communities.
Speaking of that funding, last question, the Build Back, the BBB, the Big Beautiful Bill, just passed by the House and Senate, gave $75 billion over to ICE over the next 4 years. How do you see that money being used in a place like Texas?
Yeah, well, in Texas or wherever we go, you need the infrastructure, you need the facilities. We're working to get families back to their homes. And also to get the criminals off the streets. That takes funds to do it. It's sad that that the Biden administration used taxpayer dollars to get these criminals into our country, and that we have to now do the work of getting them out and funding that. But it's still important work, and that's going to be the win. At least taxpayers know that their dollars are now going to clean up the communities and to get criminals off the streets. And so, you know, that requires facilities, that requires planes, that requires all the security for our good law enforcement individuals going into these communities. You know, and so we'll continue to make sure that they have what they need.
Congressman Cloud out of Texas, thank you very much for taking the time. Coming up, host of The Loud Majority, Kevin Smith, plays Headline Roulette. We'll be right back.